सिराने गाल मसूरिये ये जाने सैया दिल मरम चारों पाए सेज बंद बांधे सनंद करत लटके फुम करे समी पचरंग तरंग झलकता चादर रजाई ओढ़ने ऋतु समय सेवा होए लाल डाणे सार नूर के क्यों कहूँ छत्ती सोए लाल डाणे सार नूर के क्यों कहूँ छत्ती सोए चादर रजाई ओढ़ने बोली श्री प्रणाथ प्यारे की जय सद्गुरु महाराज की जय. So Sundarsaji, on yesterday's discourse, we talked about the glory, the value of seva, the value of service. We looked into different methods of God realization as mentioned in the Vedic scriptures, the value of ritualistic prayers, the value of devotion, the value of yoga and yogic practices. We also talked about the value of understanding scriptures and the content in them. And the easiest path among them all was described by Lord Sri Krishna to Arjuna, where he talked about the exclusive devotion or Ananya Bhakti to Lord Sri Krishna. As Sri Krishna says, Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mamekam Saranam Braja Aham Tva Sarva Papibhyo Mokshayishyami Ma Shucha. So renounce all the dharma and submit unto me. And what I'll do is I'll wash away all your sins and ensure that your soul attains moksha. So Sri Krishna says that in the 18th chapter, the final chapter of Bhagavad Gita, as he is explaining it to Arjuna. Even going further than that, Mahamati Prananath talked about another way of receiving the grace and mercy of the Lord Supreme, that is none other than the service. As such, Mahamati Prananath says, Tuma prema sevaye paoge pare ye bachana dhani ki kahe nirdhara. It is through service and unconditional love to Sri Raji Maharaj that one attains his grace, and that one attains moksha. Mahamati Prananath, yes, arrives in Panna. Mahamati Prananath always explains to Sundarsat the Ashtaprahar Leela of Paramdham. How Sundarsats, how the consorts of Lord Supreme serve Raji Maharaj, Syamaji Maharani and each other in Paramdham for 8 prahars. Ashtaprahar is nothing but 24 hours of the day divided into 8 3-hour increment. So the first prahar starts at 6 a.m. and the 24-hour period ends at 6 a.m. again. 6 to 9, 9 to 12, 12 to 3, 3 to 6, 6 to 9, 9 to 12, 12 to 3, and 3 to 6 a.m. So that is how Ashtaprahar is counted, and all the Sundarsatsi emulate the Ashtaprahar Seva of Paramdham in Sripas Padmavati Puridham, because Sripas Padmavati Puridham is the supreme abode of Paramdham in this world of awakening, in this Saganis Brahmanda. Paramdham is Panna, because that is where 5,000 Sundarsats are gathered. That is where Lord Supreme Prananath is residing. So Prananath is none other than the master of our life, the master of our soul, that is Prananath. We're not talking about the material body of Maharaj Thakur, we're talking about the power that resides within him. That is why we call him Prananath. Prananath calls Satguru Prananath. So to him, the Lord Supreme was Satguru, and Satguru calls Lord Sri Krishna as Prananath. Raji Maharaj is Prananath. So Prananath is not the body. So let me be clear, let me remind you, when we're talking about Prananath, when we talk about Indravati Sakhi, and when we talk about Prananath, when we utter that name, when we say that name, we are talking about the jewel, the Josh, of Raji Maharaj residing in the hearts of Indravati Sakhi, in the hearts of Maharaj Thakur. That glorious name, that divinity that resides within Maharaj Thakur is what we are referring to when we are uttering the name of Prananath. So what these Sundar Sats do, these 5,000 Sundar Sats serve Prananath as the Lord Supreme. And they emulate the pastimes of Paramdham, they emulate the Leelas of Paramdham, they emulate the service of Paramdham, considering Prananath as the Lord Supreme. And that is what happens in the holy land of Padmavati Puri, in the holy land of Panna. So the description now on this part of the Beetak, we are talking about the description of service by each Sundar Sat. The name of those Sundar Sat in service of Sri Radhi are mentioned in this part of Beetak. Sundar Satji take up some responsibility. They are assigned a particular responsibility, but they would do it unconditionally. They serve Prananath without any expectation, with the feeling that they are serving none other than Raji Maharaj himself. The detail of those Sundar Satji are mentioned in the service that they are performing to Prananath. Dear Sundar Satji, like I said earlier, the value of seva, the value of service is glorified in the teachings of Mahamati Prananath. And when there is no veil of ignorance and ego, when we do not see the body, but when we see the divinity residing in each soul, in each Sundar Sat, then Aneka Vidha Seva Karnituni Upajasita, you want to serve the other Sundar Sat without any condition. You always want to come forward and serve that Sundar Sat, considering that person as your eternal friend of Paramdham. Dear Sundar Satji, in Padmavati Puridham, in Panna, Sundar Satji are serving Prananath just in such a way, without any expectation, unconditional service, unconditionally serving their care for Prananath. As you might be aware, by the time Prananath arrives in Panna, he is about 65 years of age. He was born in 1675, and he arrives in Panna in 1740. So he lives in Panna for 11 years, just the way Sri Krishna stays in Brajamandal for 11 years and 52 days. Mahamati Prananath lives in Panna until he leaves his material body for 11 years in Panna. And for those 11 years, these Sundar Sats are serving Prananath as the Lord Supreme. While they are serving, Mahamati Prananath has received the revelations from Mahamati Prananath, from the Lord Supreme. And there are Sundar Sats who are recording the revelations. While he is giving the speech, they are recording everything that he says. Sundar Satji considered them being the words of Sri Raji Maharaj himself. A lot of Bani, a lot of books like Khilvat, Parikrama, Sagar, Shingar, all these books are revealed in Padmavati Puridham. All these Sundar Sats feel that they are in the eternal presence of Sri Raji Maharaj in Panna. It was indeed a glorious moment for all those Sundar Sats. They were truly fortunate because they had Prananath with them, they had Lord Supreme with them, present there physically. Such should be the feeling of ours as well, that Lord Supreme is manifesting himself in front of us. We are in the closeness of Sri Raji Maharaj. Such should be our seva. That is why Prananaji says, Sakshat Tani Seva Kije Rude Rakhe Jo Marame, as if Raji Maharaj is in front of us. When we offer our sanctified food to Raji, when we offer prasad or bhog to Raji, we should feel as if Raji Maharaj is enjoying the food that we are offering. A lot of times, one of the major reasons why we get handily beaten, easily beaten by Maya or forgetfulness is the fact that we fail to visualize the presence of Raji while we're serving. We fail in lives, we fail in our careers, we fail in our pursuits because we fail to visualize the fulfillment of our goals. We see the goal being too distant and the process of reaching to the goal seems too taxing, too hard, that we oftentimes give up on our pursuits. Those who visualize those goals every day, every moment, enjoy the process as well. If we visualize that Raji Maharaj is enjoying the food, we are residing in Paramdham, we are offering Raji the bhog in the morning in the third floor. Is if we visualize that and we are offering food, would we just offer a little bit of fruits or sukari for that matter? No, we would make as many dishes as we could. We'd make sure that the food that we're offering to Raji is pure. We would make sure the food that we're preparing is delicious. So Mahamati Prananaji says the seva that we offer to Raji Maharaj should be sakshat, visualized seva. So in Padmavati Puri Dham, in Pratham Prahar, we will get into the first Prahar from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. What happens during that time? So Lal Dasi describes the Leelas, describes the service of Sundar Saji during the first Prahar from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. in Panna. Mahamati Prananaji wakes up around 4:30. It's known as Brahma Muhurta, like early in the morning. And Brahma Muhurta is the time when our heart is of Sattvic Bhav. Sattvic meaning that is virtuous, that is pure. As the day passes by, what happens? We are disturbed by different experiences of ours, and by the end of the day, we became so agitated. Early in the morning, we are fresh. We do not have any grudges against anyone. So what Vedic scriptures prescribe is that we wake up very early in the morning and meditate. Think about the positive things. Sing the glory of God. And wake up early in the morning. Mahamati Prananaji gets up early in the morning, and there are Sundar Sats already in the service of Prananaji. Sundar Sats, before Prananaji wakes up, they already are there in the service of Prananaji. They would take a shower early in the morning before Prananaji gets up. The bed that Prananaji rests on, it is of kind of red color, and it is decorated by all the ornaments and all the good things. The bed sheets and pillow are soft, clean, and beautiful. And Mahamati Prananaji enjoys the sleep. Mahamati Prananaji is given the blanket according to the weather. When it's hot, it is a thinner bed sheet, while it is cold during the time of winters. During the time of winter, Mahamati Prananaji is offered a thicker blanket. So Sundar Saji serve Prananaji according to the weather. When we do the service of Raji Maharaj at our home, as we all know, that we decorate Raji. When we put him to sleep at night, then what we do is, according to the weather, we serve him. During the time of summer, during hot weather, what we do, we offer food in like colder state, while it is cold. During the time of winter, we offer warm food. The water that we offer to Raji Maharaj during the time of summer is kind of cold, and during the time of winter, it is expected to be warm, because that is what we do for ourselves. So Raji Maharaj is served and should be served according to the weather. Chhatrasal Maharaj is in constant service of Mahamati Prananath. Prem Das, Dwarika Das are always ready preparing the bed, and as soon as he wakes up, they rearrange the bed. Narayan Das, Haranarayan, Nathar Joshi are always there to decorate the bed as well, because all of these Sundarsats consider Prananath being the Lord Supreme. They serve him as if they are serving Raji Maharaj in Paramdham. For 11 years, Sundarsatji. How glorious would that time be when Prananath was with them in their eternal presence, in his eternal presence. Those 11 years must have been as good, if not better, as the time of Sri Krishna in Brajamandal, because Mahamati Prananath is awakening their souls with the divine teachings, with divine revelations, with the explanation of the divine Leelas of Paramdham by Raji Maharaj. He is performing some miracles here and there, but most importantly, he is awakening, enlightening their souls with divine bliss of Paramdham, the understanding that he is offering. Manika seve sanehason sava seva me khavardara hajura hanjira rata dina sava seva me siradara. It was Manikas who serves as a Hajuri. Hajuri meaning the one who serves, who always says Hajur, who is always ready to answer the call, who is always in the service of Prananath. It is Manikas. Manika seve shanehason shava seva me khabardar. Hajura hajira rata dina. Whenever Mahamati Prananath needs something, whenever he calls out his name, he is always ready in his service. That's why he is called Hajuri, who always says Hajur, Hajur, Hajur. Manik Das, Hajur. Like whenever he calls Manik Das, he always says yes, 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 yes. Those who always, the person who is always ready to answer the call is called Hajuri. So Manik Das serves Prananath as his Hajuri. Saba Seva Me Siradar. His service to Prananath is among the one with the most value. His service is received greatly by Mahamati Prananath. And there are others who are also serving Prananath, such as Chabil Dasi, Jamuna Bai and her daughter. And it is Chabil Das who offers water to Prananath before he wakes up. Jal aro gawe Chabila Das pichali rata rahe ghari doye. Before the night is over, when there is 45 minutes remaining before the last 2 ghadi. A ghadi is a time span of 22.5 minutes. And there are 64 ghadis, 64 22.5 minutes increment. And it is around 5 o'clock, 5:15. Prananath actually wakes up from the bed, and it is Chabil Das who is there at that time with a glass of warm water for Prananath. And again, the water is also served according to the weather. Now these details may seem a little awkward to some of you, but the fact of the matter is, when you love someone, when you care for someone, just practically speaking, when you're serving, when you're helping, when you're showing your care for your kids, your elderly parents, what you do? You offer them food, you offer them water, you take care of them, you dress them accordingly, according to the weather. If you are taking them out, you dress them accordingly. You arrange their beds, you arrange their dresses, you comb their hair. So similarly, Raji Maharaj to us, Raji Maharaj to his consorts, Raji Maharaj to Sundar Saji is none other than their beloved. Just like we care our spouse, just like we care our children, just like we care our elderly parents, Sundar Saji offer their care and service to Prananath as the Lord Supreme. So Chabildas is always ready with a glass of water before Prananath wakes up, before Prananath is ready, around 5:15. Mahamati Prananath as such says, those who are always ready to offer their help and service, they need not be reminded of that, because there is no veil of ignorance or ego in between the one serving and the one that is served. Sundar Saji consider Prananath being Lord Supreme, and Sundar Saji consider themselves being the consorts. So there is no veil of ignorance. The relationship between Sundar Saji and Prananath is clear. And there is no ego, because these Sundar Sats feel that they are living in Paramdham in the non-dual state, where there is no sense of ego with anyone. So for those souls that are clear in relationship, those souls that are meek, the souls that are humble, the souls that are grateful to Prananath for all the things that he has done for them, awakening their souls, they are ready to offer their services without any conditions, without any hesitations, without any expectations. Mukhati seva tune si kahu jo tu antar aado tal anek vidas tune seva tane upajase tatakal. So Chabil Das and all these Sundar Sats are always ready every day for more than 11 years in Padmavati Paridham. But before Prananath arrives in Panna, as you all might be aware, Prananath is traveling around. Mahamati Prananath is relaying the message to Aurangzeb. He's running away from places. He's awakening. He has to leave certain towns and cities. For example, Udaipur. For example, Mandasur. So he's not static. He's not stationed in one place. So Sundar Sats are scattered here and there. So they do not get a chance to serve Prananath as well as they can in Panna, because Mahamati Prananath has established Sripas Padmavati Puridham, and that is where it's spending the rest of his life. Here's Sundar Sats. And Mahamati Prananath, like I said, is 65 years old. While he has all the powers of the Lord Supreme, the body is gradually giving up. And it is the dharma of the body, it is the nature of the body that at the old age it becomes frail, it becomes weaker. So Mahamati Prananath is slightly weaker, not in spirit, but in physical strength. So he needs some help, and he has traveled, as we've already said, about more than 19,000 kilometers, more than 12,000 miles, mostly on foot. Let that sink in for a moment. 12,000 miles, mostly on foot. He's tired, his body is exhausted. But his spirit is as strong as ever. He still awakens souls. He still has that charisma. He still has that motivation to awaken every coming soul to the city of Panna. There are Sundar Sats. Around the time of sunrise, Mahamati Prananaji wakes up. Uthata piu palanga se bakhata aruna ude. At the time of sunrise, Mahamati Prananaji gets out of the bed. Sab hazuri hajir rahe so seva kare. His helpers, hazuri, the ones serving Prananaji, they are always ready. And back then, there was not the arrangement of heater that like we do. We have central heating system and everything here today in places where we live. In the US, it does not feel like it is too hot outside, it is too cold outside. We're inside the home with central AC system. So no need for like an individual portable heater or individual ceiling fan or portable fan because we have the central AC system. But back then, 400 years ago in Padmavati Paridham, there were not such arrangements. So there are Sundar Sats during the time of winter. They arrange a portable heater. And the helpers of Prananaji are there, arranging, accommodating, or turning on that portable heater so that they could serve Prananaji. And as soon as Prananaji wakes up, he wipes his eyes with wet handkerchief. And Ratanbai, one of the Sundar Satji, brings a wet handkerchief and wipes the eyes of Prananaji. It is a combination of all different relationships. Just like a daughter takes care of her father at his old age, Ratanbai is wiping the eyes of Prananaji. As the spouse taking care of his or her husband or wives, they are taking care of the needs of Mahamati Prananaji. Prananaji is served with such a devotion, with such a care, as if it feels like they are truly serving the Lord Supreme. And Nirmal Dasi is there for Prananaji's service. Dhanji, Tarabai, Kannad, Gangaram, they're always there. As Mahamati Prananaji wakes up, a team of Sundar Satji is ready to sing the Vani of Paramdham. As we know that Paramdham is beyond time and space, it is not that Raji Maharaj wakes up at 6, but when Raji Maharaj wakes up, the clock hits 6 in Paramdham. And Raji Maharaj sleeps on or performs the Leelas of sleep on the 5th floor of Ranga Mahal. Ranga Parwali Mandir is the name of the room that he rests on. And he comes down to the 3rd floor in the courtyard of 3rd floor, in the Bardali, in the Padasal of 3rd floor. And when he comes from 5th floor to 3rd floor, how these consorts of Sri Raji serve Sri Raji Maharaj in similar note. It's Sundar Satji serve Prananaji. When he wakes up, there is a team of Sundar Sats singing the glory of Rasyamaji. They're singing the Vani to entertain Prananaji. As Mahamati Prananaji says, that we always sing during the time of our seva in the morning. Tiji Goma ki jo padasala Thoda badi darbaje vishal. Sundar Saji are singing the Vani. They are meditating on Paramdham. And during that time, there are some Sundar Sats in the service of dressing Prananath. Ballabh Das, Bihari Das, there are some who are getting the clothes of Mahamati Prananath worn. Mahamati Prananath is given beautiful dresses, sometimes kurta, all different types of clothes are given to Prananath. Prema dasa bastara mein pehenawat hai sinagara, Nanda Rama Samila rahe sangalala kasavadana. Nanda, Prem Dasi, Nanda Ram and Lal Dasi are ready to address Prananath. There is no ego. There is no bad feeling. There is no expectations. There are no ulterior motives in seva of Prananath. Everyone is dedicated. Everyone is submitting their hearts and souls in the service of Prananath. The wife of Lal Dasi, Lalbai, also comes in the service of Prananath. Sometimes even Prananath comes and dresses Prananath. He is the ruler, he is the king, he is the emperor of Bundelkhand, yet he is there in the service of Prananath. Dear Sundar Sats, there is no non-dual feeling. There is no feeling of competition. There is no feeling of who is receiving the grace of Prananath or who is not. Everyone is doing his or her part in Padmavati Paridham. So as he wakes up, Mahamati Prananath goes to take a shower to go to the bathroom. So for that, he goes to the house of Harivamsa. Prata samay padharata Harivamsa ke gara, pavade bichhavata premasho lalabai seva para. As Mahamati Prananath goes towards the house of Harivamsa, just like in today's world, the red carpet is offered to the celebrities in the events such as Oscars and others. The Sundar Sats lay some clothes, soft clothes, on the path of Prananath, on the pathway that Mahamati Prananath walks on. And there are Sundar Sats always in the service of that. Every time Mahamati Prananath is walking around Panna. So Mahamati Prananath takes a shower, goes to the bathroom in the house of Harivamsa. And while going towards Harivamsa's home, Mahamati Prananath sings the glory of Sri Raji Maharaj. Mahamati Prananath gives him a short description of Paramdham, gives him a short sermon for taking shower. Hot and cold water are arranged according to the weather again, according to the season. During the time of summer, a colder water is arranged, and during the time of winter, warm water is arranged for Prananath. And the arrangement of umbrella and all the other devices are made just to ensure that Mahamati Prananath's vision is not interrupted while he is walking by. There are some Sundar Sats who are always in the service of Prananath with umbrella. Ek surajmukhi le khada hath pakade badale suraj sami karatahi badale yo seve. So there are some Sundar Sats who are always with a portable fan. They would make sure that Prananath is not feeling hot. Harivamsa ke ghar so fire chale pavade par hase hasave shata ko pahunchave manika gadi par. As Mahamati Prananath returns from the home of Harivamsa, then again these Sundar Sats are laying soft clothes along the way of Prananath. Mahamati Prananath is wearing a particular type of slipper that is known as khadao, that has one holding point. for 2 fingers, and Mahamati Prananaji is walking gently. Mahamati Prananaji is making jokes, making fun, entertaining the Sundar Saji, walking by Mahamati Prananaji. A group of Sundar Saji are always there with Mahamati Prananaji. Sometimes I wish I was in that moment. Sometimes I wish I was born 400 years ago to experience that moment. Because I would feel that that was probably the best moment for humanity, best moment for those Sundar Sats, because they were in the presence of Lord Supreme Himself. He is singing, He is smiling at them, He is receiving their services, He is calling out their names. As Mahamati Prananaji returns back to the temple, to Padmavati Puri Dham, Prananaji Maharaj is sitting on specially arranged seat in the gadi, sometimes in the chair, sometimes they arrange a bed for Mahamati Prananaji. यहाँ से आए पलंग पर धरे 2 कदम साता खड़ा सेवन को जान अपने आत्मा. As Mahamati Prananaji arrives and is sitting, there are Sundar Sats always in the ready of his service. Mukunda Das and Chabil Das again, as Mahamati Prananaji returns, are ready with Mahamati Prananaji's dresses and clothes. All the needed things are prepared and arranged for Mahamati Prananaji. Mahamati Prananaji wears the pagari, a turban, and it is all decorated with all different kind of things. Mukunda Dasi is in the service of dressing Mahamati Prananaji with the turban, arranging it. Sira paga bandhe chaturaishu hakka pincha hatame bhava dilame deke sukha kyun kahun viday. The glory, the happiness, the bliss of serving Prananaji, how can it be explained, says Lal Dasi. To tighten the turban, the pin is held by Mahamati Prananaji. Mukunda Dasi, another Mukunda Dasi are always ready for that purpose. Sometimes Satrasal Maharaj help other Sundar Saji for the turban. Mahamati Prananaji is given all these ornaments, all the jewelries to wear, because these Sundar Saji are serving the Lord Supreme in Prananaji. They see the Lord Supreme in Prananaji. All different types of medicinal herbs are prepared. When some Sundar Saji do not feel well, Mahamati Prananaji offers them these medicinal herbs. Kama pade magavata bulao jo maya ram jholi mein se laaye ke hajir karida mama. It was Mayaram who takes care of Mahamati Prananaji's bag, where he keeps these medicinal herbs. Small details of seva is allocated to these Sundar Sats. They are doing it voluntarily, but every day, one Sundar Sat is taking up that role. Ita Maharaja avata pahinavata hi singara pahinavata viti badali dai apne haath avatara. Mahamati Prananaji is given some rings for his hand, and Chhatrasal Maharaj is there in the service. Baiju Maharani, the divine spouse of Mahamati Prananaji, is always ready with these rings. He is given the bracelet, a golden bracelet, kanthi, because Mahamati Prananaji always has this necklace all the time around his neck. और सांकली दोहरी चंपकली नवसर तापर कंठी विराजता तीन सरी ऊपर. Mahamati Prananaji has offered all these things, and by the time of 730 years, it is a time to offer Mahamati Prananaji some food. That service is known as Balvo. Around 7:15 or so, Mahamati Prananaji is offered something to eat. And says this similar service is offered to Raji Maharaj in Paramdham around 7:15ish. Raji Maharaj is offered the food that's called Balvo. So Aiji, who considers Bhaiji Maharani as her daughter, prepares the food and brings it to her. Mahamati Prananaji is offered some tea, some coffee, or some jalapan, some liquid, some breakfast. Not heavy breakfast, but a light breakfast. Mahamati Prananaji, even after receiving the food, stays in the bed, stays on the gadi, wherever he is sitting that particular day. And he goes around the house of Sundar Satji afterwards. He walks around Panna. He gives them the discourse on Paramdham. There is no feeling of sadness. Everywhere Prananaji goes, there is positivity. Just like the time of Sri Krishna in Prajabhumi, it is believed that nobody died during the time Sri Krishna was there in Brajamandal for 11 years and 52 days. When Mahamati Prananaji is there in Panna, there is no suffering. There is no depression. There is no negativity there. And the whole city of Panna. Lataki mataki chalata fera baithe palanga para aaye samne muralidhara ashan vyasravana deta banai. After roaming around the city of Panna, after a few minutes or so, Mahamati Prananaji returns again. And wherever he goes, like I said, there are Sundar Satji, always laying some soft clothes along Mahamati Prananaji's ways. That is the way they are serving. And the second prahar starts around 9 o'clock when Mahamati Prananaji sitting on Banglaji Mandir in Panna. If you have ever visited Sripans Padmavati Puridham, you know what I'm referring to by saying Banglaji Mandir. That is where Mahamati Prananaji gives the discourse. Muralidhar is sitting in front of Prananaji and listening to his discourse. He always sits on the same place. Just like Satguru listened to Bhagavad for 14 years in one particular place, 9 hours a day, because that is the dedication. That is the effort that you put into. And when the listener is paying attention to what you are saying, it makes it a lot more pleasing. It makes it a lot more pleasant to speak out your feelings, your words. That is why the listener is given more glory than the speaker himself, because it is due to the listener, the attention of the listener, that the speaker speaks the way he does. She does. 9 to 12, it is the second prahar. Mahamati Prananaji has both the Vedic and Abrahamic scriptures lying around. The Vedas, Vedanta, Upanishad, Hadiths, Quran. Mahamati Prananaji unravels the teachings of all these scriptures one by one, because he has Muslim disciples, he has Hindu disciples, he has the disciples who were once the scholars of Vedanta, those who were the scholars of Bhagavatam, those who were the scholars of Islamic teachings. Mahamati Prananaji unravels the teaching of all these scriptures. Mahamati Prananaji explains the destination of these scriptures. Some scriptures describe the heaven in detail. Some describe Vaikuntha, some go as far as the abode of Narayan. But as we all know, none of the scriptures go beyond the transcendent Behadda and reach the abode of the Lord Supreme. All the Sundar Satsi. Lal Dasi and Kesav Dasi, they arrange the books in places for Mahamati Prananath to unravel. There are Sundar Satsi asking questions. It is Jayanti Kaka who makes sure that these books are kept up to date. They are stored properly. He brings those books. There is a place where some money is kept, and whenever Sundar Satsi needs something, Mahamati Prananath offers them. There are Sundar Satsi. They are serving Prananath in every possible way. All the Sundar Satsi are silently, attentively listening to Mahamati Prananath's discourse. The nectar of transcendent understanding is offered to them in infinity by Prananath. And during these times of discourse, some of the couplets of the book of Dharma are unraveled to Mahamati Prananath through Prananath. There are few Sundar Satsi who recorded these revelations, while Uddhav Thakur, the younger brother of Prananath, started this. Other Sundar Satsi such as Mohana, Bhagwan, Agha, Giridhar, Haridasi are the ones who recorded these revelations along the way, because these revelations come in different times, in different places. Haridasu Baithaka Bani Likhane Kaja Pustaka Likha Karame Dhare Koi Tale Wale Ke Kaja. Ladasi says these revelations are recorded for the purpose of awakening Sundar Satsi that would come after the passing of Mahamati Prananath and the Sundar Satsi of his time. Because the oral transmission or oral transition of these scriptures could be manipulated. That is why they had to be recorded. And these Sundar Satsi are always ready for that purpose. भागवत गीता के रहस्य कांड सुनावे श्री राजा हजूर हमेशा रहते हैं ईश्वर गोविंद जी ने कहा. Mahamati Prananath sometimes unravels the teachings of Bhagavad, sometimes the Bhagavad Gita. And as we all know, Srimad Bhagavat Mahapurana was the final Purana written by Veda Vyasaji. And he was not happy after scripting all these scriptures, 4 Vedas, 4 Upavedas, 108 Upanishads. He had already written 17 Puranas, and he was still not satisfied with what he had brought to the world. He was not happy, he was not satisfied. And Naradji came to Vedvyasi and criticized him for not creating a scriptures that would connect the souls to the Lord Supreme Sri Krishna. So he gave him 2 verses, Chatur Shloki Bhagavat, and reminded him the Leelas of Sri Krishna with which a soul could find Lord Sri Krishna, the Lord Supreme, and eventually salvation. And as such, in the outset of Bhagavatam, in the Mahatmya, in the glossary, glory of Bhagavatam, the glory of Lord Supreme is sung. Sachidananda Rupaya Vishwatpatyadi Tavenapatraya Vinasaya Sri Krishnaya Goyam Namaha. And at the end of Bhagavatam, the glory of Pranam, the salutation, is offered. Nama Sankirtanam Yasya Sarva Papa Pranashanam Pranamo Dukkha Shamastanam Mami Hari. Dear Sundar Satsi, in the commune of Prananath, there is no scholar. Everyone is listening to Prananath as an ignorant soul. enlightened by Mahamati Prananath with his charisma, with his articulation. Mahamati Prananath is unraveling the deepest secrets of both the Vedas and the Purans and all those scriptures in between. Dear Sundar Saji, such is the glory of Paramdham, such is the glory of Pannadham. Govinda Mishra is one other Sundar Saji that Lal Dasi mentions, who is listening to the discourse of Prananath with such attention. He is never in rush. Mahamati Prananath is giving the discourse for hours. He is patiently listening to his discourse, shedding tears sometimes smiling by his providence to be able to listen to such a transcendent understanding. Because those for whom Prananath is the Lord Supreme, those who believe that they are listening to the transcendent understanding, for them, there is no rush, there is no time limit. They are listening patiently. They are even more eager every minute of the discourse. Because Mahamati Prananath यहाँ भी describes श्रीमुख से चर्चा करे अति मीठी रसायन बन. His articulation is so good. His speech is so convincing. His description is so descriptive, so elaborated, that Sundar Saji just cannot resist listening to him. Mahamati Prananath never hurts anyone with his words. He always sings their glory. Mahamati Prananath thus reminds them to be nice to each other. He is speaking humbly, gently, politely. We do not have such attributes. I criticize a lot. And a lot of people, a lot of Sundar Sats find me a little bit rude and harsh. Prananath here is different. Prananath reminds Sundar Sats to be respectful for each other, respectful to each other. Mahamati Prananath says, मेरे मीठे बोले साथ जी हुआ तुम्हारा काम. मेरे मीठे बोले साथ जी हुआ तुम्हारा काम. प्रेम में मगन होइयो, प्रेम में मगन होइयो, खुला दरवाजा धाम. मेरे मीठे बोले साथ जी हुआ तुम्हारा काम. मेरे मीठे बोले साथ जी हुआ तुम्हारा काम. He's reminding Sundar Sats to be humble all the time. Be nice, smile at each other all the time. Because as it is said, a smile costs nothing but it creates much. When you smile at someone, when we listen to people's grievances, a lot of times that is all that person needs. He is in desperate need to share his story, her story, when we are there to listen. When we smile at them, half of their pain goes away, half of their sadness goes away. So share that positivity, positive vibe around. Mahamati Prananath reminds Sundar Sats, dear Sundar Sats, because the words that we utter, the words we speak out has a great significance in upsetting someone and relieving their pain. So we should always be humble, we should always be nice. Mahamati Prananath constantly reminds Sundar Sats, because it is true that vachana vichari bolo re sadho vachana ki hathana bhav, koi vachana kare aushadhi, koi vachana kare gav. Some words hurt, while some words work as medicine. So be careful what you say. The saints and sages of the past say that. सन्मुख श्रवण देत है मुरली धर बनाए ना आसन नेत्र डगा वही रही दृष्टि दृष्टि जुड़ाए. Lord, it is Murali Vai. We're sitting in one place, in one seat, every time, every moment when Mahamati Prananath is giving the discourse. Laldas says he does not even blink his eyes. He's looking at, he's connecting his eyes with Prananath. He's connecting his heart with Prananath. He's listening to the every word Prananath is uttering. He does not move around. He does not twist his body. Dear Sundar Shahji, is that how we receive the discourse of today's saints? When we go to the discourse, do we have such disposition? Do we have such attention in what our saints and sages have to say? Because they explain everything from the body of Mahamati Prananath, from Thakam. They explain these verses, they explain these couplets. But what we do, Sundar Shahji, we go to the temple at the end of the discourse. A lot of times, a lot of us. And when we have to listen to the discourse for 1 hour or 2 hours, we begin to twist our body, we begin to stretch our legs. We do not have such attention. Because what Raji Maharaj constantly watches is how Sundar Shahji are serving their soul, the need of their soul, how they're serving their religious master, spiritual master, how they're serving their Sundar Shahji. Everything of that is recorded in the heart of Sri Raji Maharaj. So we should never be disoriented. We should never lose our focus on what we do, dear Sundar Shahji, because if we do, if we lose our attention, if we lose our devotion, if we fail on our disposition towards Raji Maharaj, then what happens is Mahamati Prananath says, the path to eternality is so subtle. Those people who do not walk on it properly, it is like double-edged sword. If you do not walk, if you just lose your focus, then you lose your limb. It says, Mahamati Prananath says, Raha nipata barika hai tina barika par barika sathe lai likha zahiri so utare likhati likha. So it is so subtle. And when we lose our focus, we lose everything. We fall down so fast that we can never recuperate. We can never get back up again. Dear Sundar Shahji. कई लहरें सुख धाम के वर्णन होत रसाल श्री महाराजा रिजत होत दिल खुशाल. Mahamati Maharaja Chhatrasal is listening to Prananath's discourse. He feels so blessed to be able to listen to his discourse. He feels that Prananath is speaking to him directly. He is speaking to his heart. These are the words. These are the revelations of Paramdham. The waves of divine bliss are coming infinitely in the hearts of Chhatrasal Maharaj and all those Sundar Shahs. Lehere aave meher sagar khubi sukha samit, dear Sundar Shahs. Mahamati Prananath reminds them that this is your Vani. Feel that this is for you. Feel that these revelations have come to you. When you do, then you find the blissful moments. You awaken your soul. You should never feel that it is for somebody else. All of this is stated to you. Ye mathe lese tene kahun chu bija ma karajo dukkha tame tamari maya mahi sehje bhogavajo sukha. Mahamati Prananath reminds that with this transcendent revelation, with this discourse of Paramdham, even while you are in this world of forgetfulness and suffering, then you find the moments of infinite bliss and happiness. Seheji bhogavajosu. Finding happiness in this world becomes so convenient, so easier for those who listen to this discourse, considering them to be for you, for the awakening of your soul. मीठी रसना भरी अति सुंदर है, बोला चैन होता है चित्त को कोई नहीं, ये सुख तौला. There is no measurement. There is no limitation of how much this Sundar Shahji are feeling the bliss of being able to listen to this discourse. Mahamati Prananaji, the words of Mahamati Prananaji are so captivating, so inspiring, so motivating, so articulated that Sundar Shahji do not want to stop listening to the discourse. They just want to keep being there, sitting there with their full attention. Dear Sundar Shahji, compare that moment with today's discourse. Compare what we do during discourse. A lot of times I have seen that Sundar Shahji are wiggling their fingers around their phones. They're holding their phones. They're probably chatting. They're probably looking at their Facebook page, navigating through their post of their friends and I don't know what. But they're always on their phones where they're there for the discourse. If you go to the discourse and still engage in the world and what world thinks of you, and if you are self-aggrandizing yourself, if you are self-glorifying, then how good it is that you are going to the discourse. You go to the discourse to understand something, to know a little bit more about Raji, to know a little bit about your awakening, to relieve the stress from your worldly engagements. But while you are there, you are still thinking about Facebook, your Instagram, and all that thing. Dear Sundar Shahji, here in Padmavati Puri Dham, the feeling is completely different. Everyone is feeling the bliss. धाम धनी निज धाम को और न दाता, कोई ये लेने वाले साथ हैं और न समझे को. The connection between the Sundar Shahji and Prananaji is not understood by anybody else other than the Sundar Shahji and Prananaji themselves. Because they are connected with each other. They are connected because they are eternally connected. इन चर्चा में बोलन की काहू न रहे मजाल, भानने को ठाड़ा रहे सोई करत लजा. Everyone is paying attention. There is no one who would dare to interrupt Prananaji. If they have questions, they would definitely be able to ask questions to Prananaji, but they would not be willing to, they would not dare interrupting Prananaji because it's so captivating that they do not feel the need for that. Because Prananaji explains everything so well. His articulation is so smooth that they do not need any moment. They do not have any suspicion. They do not have any question. They do not have any doubt. As we already know, Pratham is Beetak Ilam. Nistanka Gyan, there are no questions to be asked. Unquestioned intellect is what Tartam is. Dear Sundar Shahji, thus from 9 to 12, Mahamati Prananaji is engaged in discourse and there are Sundar Shahs listening to his articulation with full attention, dedication and submission, with humility. Now, whenever we go to the discourse, discard all the deviances, discard all the distractions and pay attention to what the preacher has to say, what the speaker has to say. and focus on the revelations of Prananaji, because whenever there is a discourse, it is obviously from the book of Dharma. So you are connecting to Raji. Sometimes you may not be able to associate or relate with the discourse, yet the discourse is given from the book of Dharma. It is a way we connect to Raji Maharaj. So pay your full attention as long as you are there for the discourse. Half an hour, 45 minutes, however long the discourse is, pay your full attention to that. Discard the distractions. When a child passes by, do not look into the child. Just focus on what you are listening to. Close your eyes if you have to. But single-mindedness, focused attention is needed when you go to the discourse. That is what the Sundar Sats do when Prananaji is giving the discourse. Dear Sundar Satji, there's none like Prananaji in today's world, Prabhupada. Because Prananaji is the Lord Supreme Himself. Nobody articulates as well as Prananaji. There is no denial of that. While that is the truth. All the religious teachers, all the religious preachers are awakened souls. They are trying to relay the message of Prananaji to you. Their expression sometimes can be less relatable, yet these are the words of Dhamdani, these are the words of Raji Maharaj. So pay your full attention whenever you go to a satsang, whenever you go to the discourse. That is what we learn from the service of Sundar Sats during this second prahar from 9 to 12 in Padmavati Paridham. I hope by these episodes of service that Sundar Satji offered to Prananaji, we learn a way, we understand how we receive the grace of our spiritual masters, how we receive the grace of Raji Maharaj, because you are paying attention to his words, you are listening to his words. And an obedient child, a child that always listens to, care for, and pay attention to their parents, his parents, her parents, that child is appreciated, that child receives the most love. If you listen to the word of Raji Maharaj, you are already dear to him. You are already closer to him. So do that. With that message, I'm sorry that I went 15 minutes more, but when I started explaining this, I could not stop, dear Sundar Satji, because it is so important that when we do something, we give our very best. We do that with our 100% effort. When we serve, we do it with our 100% dedication and submission, with full sense of humility, with full submission, wholehearted submission. With that, I would conclude the session for today. We described 2 prahars, first and second, and tomorrow we'll talk about the third and the fourth.